How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the 3 trades that I took, 1 on SPY, 2 on QQQ. All 3 trades were losers. This is a day in which I lost a bit of emotional control, went on tilt, as you could say, and after having some losing trades, did exactly what you should do. The exact opposite of what you should do, I meant to say, and sized up and took bad trades and just increased my losses. So overall, one of the worst days that I've had in a long time. I haven't really traded that emotionally in a while. We'll break into the trades that I did take, why I took them, why they were bad trades, or why I executed poorly. Before we get into that, I traded both SPY and QQQ. We'll just look at SPY here on the daily time frame. We had pulled back, formed this hammer candle on the daily, and then we opened up quite a bit higher than yesterday's close in a gap up situation. This to me looked like a potential for a bounce and a bullish day, which we did have, but the morning was a bit tricky and I got caught up in it for sure. We have the green level is yesterday's high day, red level is yesterday's low day. That obviously didn't come into play. We have the yellow level is the pre-market high, or just the pre-market a level that I was watching. And a few of the other levels that came into play were 434 or 474, excuse me. 475 later in the day. Obviously we have these levels up here. This happened in the later half of the day in which I was not trading. But you can see that how we kind of responded to some of those. We'll take a zoom in here. We'll take a zoom in and we'll look at my first trade of the day. My first trade of the day was on SPY. And here's what I did. So in the morning, we were kind of just bouncing around. No real direction, similar to yesterday's morning, I believe it was, where things were just a bit slow and we didn't have a trend. We didn't have really any clear direction. We were kind of just stuck in this range. We did have a bit of a breakout. So we had made a bottom, formed, 3 candles in a row bouncing off this bottom. We had come up and we had broken above this pre-market level that we had rejected off of a number of times. We had broken above it with some volume. You see some volume coming in. We break above it. I am going to throw on the EMA because I was part of this. If I add that. So my first trade of the day was I took calls on the retest of this EMA here. So we had come up, broke above the pre-market high. We had held it on a hammer candle. We were holding above the 9 EMA, and we came back down to retest. This was also an area of previous high, so our previous high area was right in here. We had broken above it, tested it. So everything kind of looking how I would want it. I suppose one thing that you could see as an issue is this declining volume. This declining volume as we break out. Ideally, you'd want to see increasing volume, similar to here. Like this increasing volume on this drop. I would have liked to see increasing volume on this. Perhaps that was a little telling, seeing that the volume was dropping as we were breaking out. Maybe it was a bit of a fake out. With that being said, though, we broke above this level. I was bullish if we broke and held above the pre-market high, which we did. And so I was looking for longs there. Where did I go wrong? I entered one call option. I took 475. Usually I just go whatever's the closest out of money. So 475, same day expiration. Took one on the retest because we closed up here. We came down and retested the pre-market high. I took one there. And I took one at the retest of the previous high / the EMA. That was my strategy. Take one contract here. If we just ripped, then it would have been a nice gain regardless of one contract or not. If we pulled back a little bit more, obviously I can grab another contract at a lower cost, bring my average cost down, and have that second addition kind of close to where my stop would be. So minimizing risk there, even though I am sizing up, that a break below would cause that second contract to be a pretty minimal loss. So a bit more risk to reward there for me. So up until this point, decent trade. Where did I go wrong? I held it a little bit too long, and I sold on this candle here once we were breaking down. So I probably should have had a clearer picture of where I would get out. I didn't quite, and I held it a little longer, hoping for it to reverse. I was a bit blinded. We had these long wicks. We had these strong green candles. We had broken out. We were retesting the previous high. I think I just had a bias that we'd gapped up. We looked like we were going to have a strong day. And so I held on to that loser longer than I should have. And that was my first loss of the day. So first loss of the day was calls in here, and this breakdown got me out. I am going to switch over to QQQ. Before I do so, I do want to just look at how today played out, look at how some levels played out. You can see we had two fake breakouts here. We broke above that pre-market level, and both times pretty violently sold off. So tricky situation. Especially if you're a breakout trader or if you're a break and retest. This was pretty nice for a break and retest, but it didn't work out. This break and retest, we closed right below it, so we didn't hold that level necessarily. What would have been better is the break and the retest for puts here. But yeah, we did come down. We filled that gap from yesterday's high a day. So we came down, filled that gap, pretty much formed a bottom there, and then rallied. What a move we had. That would have been insane to catch. From this point on, it was more of a classic uptrending market. I didn't expect this strength here necessarily, but I expected something more like this. Like breaking above levels, pulling back, holding them, continuing the rally. Breaking above the level, pulling back, and then we just dumped. So that got me out. I was expecting a bit more strength. And that was my first trade of the day. Not a bad trade necessarily. I'm not mad that I took it. It's just my risk management could have been a bit better, and I could have stopped out earlier and prevented a loss being as big as it was. Still, up until this point, not a terrible day. One loss. It wasn't huge. I didn't let it run to zero, but it was slightly bigger than my average loss should be. So we'll take a look over at QQQ, and we'll take a look at what I did there. So while SPY was broke out of that pre-market high and then was dumping, I switched to look at QQQ. And QQQ was at this point holding the pre-market high. It was still above that level. It was right around in this area, and I decided to take calls on QQQ. And the reason being is that it had strength. It had strength compared to SPY. SPY was dumping pretty bad. QQQ was still holding above the EMA, still holding above the pre-market high. And it was coming down and retesting previous highs. So previous high in here. So we have our previous high. We have our pre-market high. We had broken out, and we were coming back and retesting. So I took some calls here. Where did I go wrong here? I went wrong by sizing up a lot more. So QQQ, the contracts were a bit less expensive than SPY. I believe they were like 40 or 50 bucks. I was taking 412, so slightly out of the money. It was the closest out of the money call option, thinking that we would hold this and continue up to this next level, sort of how we did here. I entered 4 options. So generally I trade 1 to 2, 3 if I'm sizing up. I haven't been trading 4 options. I picked up 4 options because I was still biased to the upside. I was still I was convinced that we were going to continue this strength. And I thought that with QQQ showing relative strength compared to SPY, that this would be, the setup that I was looking for on SPY, that this would work. However, it did the exact same thing. When we dumped here, I was down pretty bad. I cut my losses, and then we immediately reversed. So really ugly for me. Maybe I could have had a bit more patience. Maybe I entered too early. One thing that's for sure is that I sized up. I took 4 contracts. I should have taken it maximum 2. I took 2 contracts on my first trade, had a decent loss, took 4 contracts here and had a much bigger loss. When I sold, that was pretty much the bottom. And from there, we did rally up to the next level where I would have looked to take profits. So that was a bummer. That was one where I got stopped out, and then immediately it reversed and hit my target. So is this trade terrible? I'm not mad that I took it initially. I'm mad that I sized up. So that was the mistake. And then selling right before it reversed. I don't think I could have known that necessarily, that we were going to reverse right there, especially after looking very bearish. But nonetheless, that was my second trade. My third trade is the worst trade that I took today, because it was a revenge trade. My third and final trade of the day was puts right here. So once we had broken down, and SPY, like I said, SPY was looking relatively weak. I was looking to catch a move to the downside. We came up and we were testing this pre-market high, and we were testing that 9 EMA. As you can see, we broke below it pretty convincingly, came up and retested it, and I took 2 puts here. The only thing that I did right was not to size up to 4, because I almost took 4 contracts here. At this point, I was trading emotionally. I wasn't trading rationally. It was bad. I already had 2 losing trades. I shouldn't have taken a third trade in the first place. But here I am. Here I am taking puts on this retest, this break and retest. Obviously, we broke out, and I stopped out on this move up here. So this was probably my smallest loss of the day. On these 2 contracts, I accepted defeat. I think I was already defeated at this point. But that was my third and final loss for the day. So really the only I did a lot of wrong things, mismanaged my risk, traded emotionally, entered trades without confirmation due to wanting to make back money that I had previously lost. So overall, really, really bad day for me. Biggest losing day that I've had in a long time, which that's good that I haven't been just blowing my account every day, but it's not good because these are habits that need to be shaken. They need to be getting rid of. You can't be a profitable trader going on tilt and having days like I had today. So we'll try to learn from it. It was a bit of a difficult day for sure. You can see that it did respect levels pretty well. You know, we came up, we touched this level, came all the way down, held this level. This was a bit unexpected, I suppose. I didn't have anything down here. But then we come up, retest this 412.8, break above and hold that. So likewise with SPY, we did have, you know, rejections from levels, holding at levels. We're getting close. I think the discipline and the risk management was what failed me today. But it's an opportunity to learn, opportunity to get better. I'll set rules for myself based on my performance today to prevent another day like this happening, as this is very unsustainable. That's all I have for you. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. I do trade live Monday through Friday, so I'll be back tomorrow before the weekend. We'll be sizing down. I'll be trading with a smaller amount. I'll be much more patient. And just try to stick with what I know. I don't want to try to change everything up. I was profitable this year up until today. I was growing my account up until today. Today really set me back. But I don't want to completely just erase everything that I've been practicing and, you know, scrap my entire approach because of today. I think emotions and risk management failed me, not necessarily my trading itself. But with that being said, stop by if you feel so inclined. Always love to have you. And thank you for watching. I hope the rest of your day is great. All right, peace.